I'm Cierra Bettens. This is APTN News InFocus. On this episode, a look at one Red River Métis family's mission to help save the Michif language.
So when I was a little boy, I'd go hunting with my grandfather. We'd be trapping, we'd be setting snares, and we'd be catching rabbits. So I remember this one morning, I was about 7 years old, going with my musho, my grandfather, to go and learn. Now it was the time, the rites of passage was the time to learn. So there was this little rabbit in the snare. It looked so cute. So I went and grabbed it to play with it, and it gave such a horrible squeal. And my grandfather said, "Kaya, don't do that. Ikitimahaw. You're abusing that animal. Le bon Dieu qui m'iguanan, God gave us a wankik to meet soyak so we could eat. Kaya chamatoake, not to play. Moya ok skate mogawiak. Ay shino and parsan chamatoake a good dog." So right away, kikaus kapasta hen, you will give us bad luck and God won't help us to have good hunt. So I learned that's over 60 some years ago. I'm going to be 73. And I learned, you see, those teachings you learn.
That was Elder Norman Fleury. He's one of the few remaining fluent speakers of Michif, the traditional language of the Métis people. He's speaking about growing up with the language in an interview with the Rupertsland Center for Teaching and Learning. The language has 3 dialects: Northern, French, and Southern or Heritage Michif. It blends French nouns and adjectives with Cree verbs and sentence structures.
We mix French in our language. If we speak Cree, Français. That's why we speak different than the Cree and the French, because it's not Cree, it's not French, it's Michif.
Canada's 2021 census identified 1,485 Métis who were able to have a conversation in Michif, but the number of fluent speakers is estimated to be much lower.
I'm an 8th generation, and from when we spoke our own language, our own distinction, which I still am today. I'm one of those bona fide Michifs, you know. There's not many of us. We're losing them all the time. As soon as we lose our elders, we're losing the libraries. We're losing the stories, the music, the history, the understanding. So this is why we have to make sure that we listen carefully, like I did when I was a little boy.
Back in January, Heritage Canada gave the Manitoba Métis Federation $15 million to support Michif language revitalization. And one of the projects that has come out of that funding is called Save Michif. It was created by Grant, Ben, and Aynsley Anderson, a Red River Métis family from Manitoba. The father, brother, and sister trio joined forces to develop a series of physical and digital Michif flashcards, along with audio pronunciations by Elder Fleury. The Andersons are among those hoping to nurture a new generation of speakers. And Grant and Ben join us today to share how they're rising to the challenge in a race against time to save Michif. Thanks so much for joining us, Ben and Grant.
Thanks for having us.
So to start, I'm just curious about how did the 3 of you come up with this idea?
Well, I've been working in the area of education with the Métis for probably 3 decades now. And when they were looking for projects to help preserve the Michif language, I took a look at what was going on, and nobody seemed to be doing anything for beginning learners. So we created something specifically for them as a starting point to introduce kids to Michif. That was really the whole intent of this project, was to introduce that language to kids who maybe never heard of it before, or families who wanted to involve their kids in that language.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious about kind of your different backgrounds, with Ben coming from a business background, Grant, coming from publishing, Aynsley running a local bookstore. How did combining your different gifts and expertise help in pushing this project forward?
I think in a weird way, it all really complemented each other. Obviously, my dad comes from the education kind of cultural background, working in the Métis Nation for a long time. But um, I have a marketing and tech company, and I think there are ways for intersection. I think we have to use technology when Michif is so endangered, and we're able to do some creative things here with animations and digital flashcards, and uh, I think combining that culture with new technology is a good way to keep the youth hooked in. And obviously, obviously with Aynsley, she's been running Prairie Sky for a long time now. Now she knows the book industry in and out. She was a major player in this project as well. So I guess our backgrounds kind of informed what we all did. It made this possible.
It just sort of naturally kind of fell together, like everybody had their piece to do. And it was kind of almost family osmosis that occurred. It was it was all right there. All we had to do was sort of put it together.
Mm-hmm. And what can you tell us about the state of the Michif language today, and how many fluent speakers are alive?
Well, I speak regularly to one of our elders, Norman Fleury, who's probably the foremost Michif language expert in Canada, and it's published that there's probably fewer than 1,000 speakers. But from what Norman tells me, there might be 30 people on Earth that he can have a conversation in Michif with today. Our backs are kind of against the walls when it comes to preserving and developing new speakers, but work's underway. I mean, our piece is just just the beginning piece. It's just a small piece. There's others working on other exciting projects that will produce. Our project's not developed to produce speakers. It's developed to introduce young people to the language and let them know that it actually exists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and kind of going to the project itself, wonder if you could tell me a bit about some of the resources that you've developed and who they're kind of primarily geared towards.
Well, I've been doing a variety of things. I've created the Illustrated Métis History Series, which is used in elementary classrooms across Manitoba. We're moving into Saskatchewan. That series is being republished right now, and that was developed because when I was working in the Métis government, it seemed that every time we had a change in federal or provincial governments, we had to re-educate those new sets of leaders as to who the Métis were. They didn't know. So I thought, well, let's introduce it to them in elementary school. And by the time they get to be premier, they'll know who we are. And so that's really where it started. Then we've been working on adult education, a new project we've taken on and almost ready to launch. It's called LaCole, which is based on the recommendations of the TRC in educating business leaders, bureaucrats, public servants in the ways and methods that the Métis Nation grew up. And then the latest one here is a set of 70 flashcards in English and Michif. They're all original paintings done by a local Manitoba artist who I've been working with since we were in high school. And they seem to be well taken up. I read at the children's tent at the Winnipeg Folk Festival, and I tested them there for the first time, and kids liked them, parents liked them, the educators who were in the audience liked them. They seem to be being very well received. In fact, we're working right now with Winnipeg School Division 1 to introduce them into classrooms in Winnipeg.
Yeah, that's super exciting with these resources being geared more towards, younger children, but, anyone can use them, but it sounds like, the primary audience is children. I'm wondering if you could talk a bit about why it's so important to, teach Michif from a young age.
Well, I think you hit it right in the head. It's important to teach Michif from a young age, and there haven't been until at this point in time the speakers available to do it. So we have to develop these kinds of resources and support it with the technology that will help it grow. So what we've done with the flashcards is, as Ben was saying earlier, they're online, they're animated, and we have Norman Fleury, our Michif elder and expert, providing the pronunciations. so that you can learn from the best and not rely on trying to find one of those 30 speakers to teach your kids how to speak. So it's an introductory program. We're looking at developing more resources to support these, but you got to begin at the beginning, and this is our goal.
Mm-hmm. And, on the website you mentioned, there's 3 main dialects of Michif, and I'm wondering, can you talk a bit about those and how you sort of incorporated, a few of them, or which you kind of chose to focus on?
We chose to focus on Heritage Michif, which is the primary language in southwestern Métis Nation. French Michif and Northern Michif exist. We're going to be working in those areas shortly. Norm, as I said, our Michif language expert, speaks 7 languages, and French and Northern Michif are 2 of them. So we'll be working again to do these cards in those languages as well. We're also going to be working on not only providing them in English, but we're going to use French language as well, so that we can expand the audience that we have and include French immersion schools in the program that we're going to be doing.
Mm-hmm. And you've touched on this a bit, but what are some of the schools and different organizations that you're working with who have kind of helped make this a reality? And, are there any that you're maybe looking to work with or tap into?
That is really just beginning. As I say, we're just forming the relationship. In fact, I was in contact with them yesterday with Winnipeg School Division number 1. We're going to run this as a pilot with them. And then once we have that established, we'll approach other school divisions across Western Canada to deliver this kind of stuff to our kids. I think it's an important thing, because Michif is the only language that was actually developed in Canada. It grew up right here, right in our own backyards, and not everybody knows that. We should. This is something that makes us special. It's a unique thing in the world, and not everybody knows about it. So one of our goals is to increase that awareness and have more families, at least at this point, being aware that it exists and learning some words, and then hopefully that will open doors to developing more speakers.
Mm-hmm. And related to that, what do you think, how is Red River Métis culture sort of intertwined with the Michif language? What does the language hold in terms of, preserving the culture?
Language and culture are lockstep with one another. Really can't have one without the other. Losing one of those pieces would be a significant loss. It's just not something that's going to be able to be replaced if we don't preserve it now.
And, I know this is just kind of the beginning of the project, but as it evolves, how do you hope to maybe see it expand, or what kind of projects are you interested in with this?
What we've also done, besides the set of flashcards, we've also included a couple of books for those that same age group. We're going to work on doing more of that. We're going to animate those books and put them on the website. We're going to have Norm doing story time on the website, teaching lessons from Michif culture. Whether it's how to catch a fish, or tales about the Rougarou, the Métis werewolf. We'll be presenting those kinds of things as we're moving forward. This is only the beginning. I think it's a good start, but it's really just the start.
Mm-hmm. And I guess my final question: how can people start learning through the Save Michif platform?
Definitely just by visiting the website at savemichif.ca. So the physical flashcards, they're available for purchase, but what you get with that is also the digital set of flashcards like we were talking about. We kind of imagine this is used in a classroom or daycare setting where the teacher, parent is going over the physical flashcards, and then you can have the digital flashcards on a smart board or a presentation screen behind you. There you get the animation. You're able to flip the card over. When you click on it, you're able to hear Norm's voice giving a proper pronunciation, because that's very important. Even for me, I don't know the proper pronunciation, so that's why we got Norm on board. But having the animation and even animal sounds on some cards paired all together, that's really to enhance the learning process. So those are available on the website. There's also other resources pointing to other Michif revitalization projects, whether that's from the Métis Federation here or the LRI, other independent groups. Really, we just want to share as much as possible. So there's information about the language, about the Métis culture, more resources, the flashcards. There's a demo on there, so it's a informative site as well. So yeah, I'd encourage people just to check it out and learn something and get some flashcards if they're interested.
And I think there's been a very good uptake, showing of interest in doing this. One of the things when you're asking about other organizations that are supporting what we're doing, Fort White Alive, the environmental center here in Winnipeg, run a day camp program for elementary school kids, and they incorporated our flashcards and the website in every one of their day camps this year to introduce not just Métis kids, but every kid who goes to their camp, that this language was something that was born here. It's part of our shared history, and it's something we should all be aware of.
All right, well, Ben, Grant, thanks so much for joining us today and sharing this incredible project. Really excited to see where it goes.
Thank you so much for the time.
Take care.
Today's episode was produced by Mark Blackburn and edited by Jesse Andrushko. Charmaine Straker is the executive producer of APTN News InFocus. If you're liking the show, please leave a review. And if you have any comments or ideas, email them to infocus@aptn.ca. For more APTN News podcasts, visit aptnnews.ca or find us on your favorite player. I'm Cierra Bettens. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next week.
Hi, I'm Dennis Ward, one of the hosts of APTN National News. We've expanded our Truth and Politics panel into a weekly podcast. Each episode, panelists Jennifer Leywitz and Negon Sinclair join us to examine key issues affecting Indigenous peoples across Canada. Listen and subscribe on your favorite podcast player.